Welcome back to Season 6 of the Changing Earth podcast with author Sara F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 201, season 6, episode 1. So today, Chin officially joins us as the co-host. Chin, happy to have you here.
Hey, chin's up.
Chin's up. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to have somebody to talk to while I do my podcast. So thanks. Appreciate it.
Like we're screaming at you when you're reading us a book during the ebook, the audiobooks.
Yeah,
no!
It's my favorite when I get to actually watch somebody. Yeah, I love it. I'm like, you guys just record video of you listening to my book, please. It's like one of my biggest.
There's an idea: reader booths, so you can have like a conference rooms where you could watch your readers read the book. See the reactions.
It would be awesome. It's one of my favorite things to do. So, yeah. Okay, so this season we are introducing Endless Night. And you actually had a chance to beta this book way long time ago, so I'm tapping your memory cells right now. Just general...
Get me in a good mood.
Yep.
The happy book.
Yes, the happy book. So just general thoughts on what you can kind of give the audience general thoughts on it without telling them the whole story, basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like I said, happy book is the direct opposite of that. This book was, man, you took us on a ride.
Yeah, and deep darkness here.
Indiana Jones ain't got nothing on the bullwhip.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, have you ever seen the movie The Rundown?
I don't think so.
It's with Sean William Scott and The Rock are in it.
Oh yeah.
And there's these two guys that use a whip in that book or in that movie, and a little bit of where I got my inspiration for the whip fighter.
Well, I'll have to put it on my to-watch list.
Yeah. The other series that I really like to watch on Netflix is Into the Badlands.
Yeah.
And that series is just awesome. Very bloody. So everybody heads up on that one. It's like martial arts, blood. And
that was kind of like mix of like martial arts and a little bit of Western feel, right? Is that the right one?
Yeah, kind of. It's past the collapse big time.
Yeah.
Like clan wars and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I really like that one too. All right, in other news, Hope on the Horizon, the book that's after The Endless Night, finally came back from my editor, and my editor was like, finally a cheery title, you know. But she really enjoyed it, and she was like, an epic story, another epic story, man. So
good stuff.
Yeah,
keep it coming.
I know, right? I've started the next book, which will be the last book. I am actually planning on putting the end on it. So, and then probably going back and writing Swenson's story. I like that idea.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about epic.
Yeah, and you'd almost get to see like a little bit more of how the disaster actually played out because Erica was in the shelter for a long time.
Yeah, that's right? Perfect. And you could see some of the lead up, right?
Yep. Yeah. Lead up to it by getting his life story. So I'm really actually jazzed on that. So now I'm like, okay, I got to get through the end of the book. And
stay focused.
Yeah. And then I'll probably go back to the Las Vegas years, although it's hard to like go back and write the characters when they were younger because they've come so far.
Have to go do some research.
I do.
On-site research.
I go into my other books and, make sure that it's kind of cool actually because you already have the plot line there. So you just have to write like the little dramas that happened in between like the huge plot line. Kind of a fun.
You have to stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah, it's a fun writing experiment. So this week in Chapter 1, we're going back because Dexter was AWOL in Dark Days in Denver. And we never really knew what happened with him. So that's why I wanted to start this book out with what happened to Dexter. So, what did happen to Dexter? We're going to have to find out. And so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Chapter 1 of The Endless Night. Dedication. To all of the guests on the Changing Earth podcast. Podcasting my stories has been an incredible journey. I've learned so much along with the listeners. It has been my honor to meet so many incredible individuals and spread their knowledge to the globe. Chapter 1. The morning of September 8th. I should have told my mom where we were going, Dexter fretted, as he picked his way through the forest. The green of his mercenary forces jacket blended with the trees, and his brown hair hung out just a little from under his hat. She would have told Bennett, Johnny replied, his brown eyes making contact with Dexter's. Bennett would never have let us go. I know, Dexter replied thoughtfully, his gray eyes furrowing with concern. Are you sure this waterway will lead to a road? Johnny wondered. He removed his hat and wiped the sweat from his newly shaven head. It's a pretty sure thing that water will lead us to roads or towns. But I've never been here before. You were supposed to scout the mission before we left, Dexter scolded him, picking his way along the side of a small stream. He listened to its soft babbling as it flowed south. The sound soothed his nerves, and it left a musty freshness in the air. I did. I know the highway is up here somewhere, Johnny assured him. There it is, Dexter elated, pointing through the pine trees. Turning south, he wondered, how do you plan on getting into the central region? Most people are trying to escape from there, not get in. It's going to be a trick. You don't think your act like you're part of a work crew routine will work? Johnny asked, referring to a tactic Dexter often used to gain admittance to off-limit areas. It's the central region, Johnny. I don't think you'd want to be on that work crew, Dexter advised him. Dexter grew up in a federal refugee camp in Las Vegas. He'd become familiar with the treatment refugees received over his decade of experience. And in the central region, it was getting worse and worse. Look, bro, a car's coming, Johnny told him, hitting him on the arm. They waited for the vehicle to approach and stuck their thumbs up in the air in hopes that the car would stop. Dust exploded into a cloud in the air as the van pulled up beside them, and a burly-looking guy with scruffy gray hair and a long beard spoke to them from the driver's seat. Where are you boys headed? The man's raspy voice inquired. To Amarillo to catch the ferry, Johnny replied. Headed that direction myself, the man informed them. A woman sitting submissively in the passenger seat looked at him, surprised. Her brown eyes occasionally dared to peek up, making eye contact with Dexter and Johnny. Her straight brown hair fell limply about her face. I could use a couple of young men like yourselves to help guard my shipment, if you guys are up to it. I'll make certain you make it to the ferry, the man offered. Dexter watched Johnny's gaze shift from the man to him, and then back to the man. Sounds good to us, Johnny replied. Get in the back, the man snapped at the woman. One of you can ride up here, and the other can sit in the back and keep an eye on the cargo. Johnny got in the front seat as Dexter pulled the handle on the side door. It squeakily slid along its rails, revealing 5 women in the back of the vehicle. Dexter saw steel glinting off the wrists of all the women, all except the one who had been in the front. Scooting to the side, the 2 women sitting on the back bench seat made room for Dexter. Hello, he greeted them. No need to talk with the cargo, son, the man instructed. What's your name, boy? He asked Johnny. Name's Jonathan Johnson, and my friend back there is Justin Case, he replied. Nice to meet you, fellas, he replied, putting the van into drive. Name's Jasper Dennis. Where are you taking your cargo, Johnny wondered. This group is headed for the central region. Good-looking ones go to the central region and the ugly ones go south to Mexico, he explained. Interesting, Johnny commented. Don't judge me, boy. A man has to eat. Just one of those girls can feed me for a month, Jasper expounded. I didn't realize the trade was so lucrative, Johnny commented, playing along with the man. He didn't want to jeopardize his ride. With all the refugees on the move, it's easy to snatch them. The Mexican cartels and elites in the central region pay good money for clean girls. Maybe I'm in the wrong business, Johnny commented. You just may be, son. Fighting with the mercs is a lost cause anyhow. The world is ending. Might as well go out with food in your belly and a few women at your beck and call, right, Missy? He asked the unchained girl in the back as he looked in the rearview mirror. Yes, Jasper, she replied timidly. Dexter sat quietly in the back, soaking in the information. His heart ached for the women, watching their sad expressions. Every fiber of his being was thinking how wrong this situation was, but it was a long walk to Amarillo. Johnny and Jasper's conversation went on and on. The man was more than happy to discuss his business and not question theirs, and that was just fine with them. It was late into the night by the time they entered Amarillo. The ticket stand was closed. The ferry ride would have to wait until the morning. Would you guys like to camp with us? Jasper asked. I could really use the help with the cargo. I wasn't expecting a haul this big. Dexter wanted to get away from Jasper as soon as possible. His heart sank as Johnny agreed. Jasper pulled the van into a campsite outside of town to wait for morning. Dexter was up as soon as Jasper lifted the shifter and put the van in park. Hastily opening the sliding door, he rapidly closed it behind himself. As Johnny exited, Dex asked, "What are you doing? We don't want to be a part of this, do we?" "Think about it, Dex. This could be our ticket into the central region," Johnny told him. "We could go through the gates with him when he goes to sell the women." Listen to yourself, Johnny. Sell the women? What part of that doesn't sicken you? Dex wondered. The part where it gets me closer to my dad. Do you have a better idea? Johnny asked. Everything okay, guys? Jasper inquired, coming around the van to check on them. Yeah, everything is fine, Dexter told him, eyeballing Johnny. He didn't have a better idea. Actually, Johnny said, to Dexter's surprise, we need to be honest with you. We're not actually mercs. We stole the uniforms to get a meal and a ride, Johnny explained. Smart guys, Jasper said. You looking for a more permanent employment situation, he asked. I'm about to make a killing on these ladies. With your help, we could head right out for more. We'll be rich men. Sounds good to me, Johnny said, removing his mercenary uniform jacket and tossing it in the dirt. Won't need that anymore. What about you, Justin? You on board? Jasper asked. I'm always on the lookout for opportunity, Dexter replied. Dexter worked in the moonlight setting up Jasper's camp. He watched the man taking the women out one by one to relieve themselves. After he and Johnny cooked dinner, Dexter made sure all of the women received at least a small amount of food. Watching the girls sitting helplessly chained around a tree for the night, Dexter's heart was breaking for them. His mother, Erica, had taught him how to escape all the types of restraints that Jasper used to bind them. If only these women were trained, Dexter thought, they could get out easily. Dexter stared up from his sleeping bag as the moon climbed higher into the sky. He worried about his parents, knowing they went into the battle in Denver today. Kicking himself for not telling at least his sister, Star, he listened to steps traversing the leaf clutter. Jasper unchained one of the girls from the tree and took her into the van with Missy. The shocks squeaked as the van rocked back and forth. Dexter wanted to puke. He smashed his head into his sleeping bag and shut his eyes tight, trying to fall asleep. The morning couldn't come fast enough. Dexter just wanted to help his friend and get this mission over with. What's going on? Dexter asked as he awoke to a strange haze that shrouded the morning sunshine. Ash was falling gently from the sky, and a small amount had accumulated on his sleeping bag during the night. He rolled up his sleeping bag and went to cook some of the dehydrated eggs Jasper left out for the morning meal. I don't know, bro. It's trippy, Johnny commented, brushing the ash off his sleeping bag before rolling it up. Good morning, boys, Jasper said, emerging from the van. I sure did sleep well knowing you two were out here watching the cargo. I think I'm going to like having you guys around. Breakfast is ready, Dexter told him, taking some food to the women. They appreciated his concern and ate readily as Dexter unhooked them for the meal. I'm definitely going to like having you guys around, Jasper stated, digging into a bowl of rehydrated eggs. Why don't you two go and see about getting a ferry ride for the vehicle across the lake? You need to tell them we're transporting refugees, and the handler will pay when he gets there. We can do that, Johnny agreed. I still think this is a bad idea, Dexter told Johnny as they entered Amarillo. Dexter was shocked as he entered the city. Trash accumulated everywhere, and it stunk of human feces. Children, dirty and ragged, searched the garbage piles. Girls approached them asking for food in exchange for sex. Gangs of men eyeballed them carefully. What happened here, Dexter wondered in awe of the loss of civic virtue. Think about it, Justin. Most of the honorable people are out fighting the feds with the militia or the mercs. The cities have been left to the criminals, Johnny suggested, trying to rationalize the behavior of the people here. Is this what we're fighting for? Dexter pondered. It's all falling apart, he fretted as he looked up at the hazy orange ball in the sky. I don't know, Justin. All I know is my dad is rotting away in a federal prison. He believed in the Merc cause, Johnny told him as they approached the desk to buy tickets. We need a pass for a vehicle, Johnny told the man. We're transporting refugees. Aren't you a little young for that? The man asked. The handler will pay as we board, Johnny stated. We don't have any transports available for 5 days, the man replied. I guess that will have to do, Johnny said sullenly, turning back towards the road. The wind blew more ash through the air as they entered the street. 5 days? Johnny questioned Dex. What are we going to do? We can't wait here that long, Dexter told him. If it was just us, I bet we could have gotten across quicker. Yeah, but how would we get into the central region without Jasper? Johnny speculated, watching cars line up to cross on the ferry. Let's get a drink before we head back, Dexter proposed, trying to delay their return as long as possible. Sounds good, bro, Johnny admitted, heading for the bar. The stairs groaned under their feet as the door squealed on its hinges. There's a table in the corner, Dexter pointed out as they walked in. As they sat down at a table, the waitress asked, Would you men like a beer or a whiskey? We'll have a couple of beers, ma'am, Johnny replied. She smiled brightly at his statement. Such nice manners. Hard to come by these days, she commented. A woman as beautiful as yourself should be treated with respect, Johnny complimented her, smiling back. Well, thank you. Her eyes shined brightly at Johnny. Dexter was amused by his flirtatious antics, and he thought the waitress walked with more dignity as she strolled away from the table to fulfill their request. Dexter could smell the cigarette smoke thick in the air. It reminded him of his childhood before the Great Quake. His mom and dad smoked. Thinking of his parents, he prayed for their safety. He hoped the battle went quickly and they were celebrating today. Lost in thought, Dexter overheard the man at the adjacent table boasting, Got me a whole load of sweet things ready to go. Tomorrow morning, I'll be a rich man. He was drunk and loud. Johnny jumped as Dexter kicked him under the table. That guy has a ferry pass for tomorrow morning, Dexter whispered. Johnny eyeballed him carefully, watching his every move. When the man got up to use the restroom, Johnny followed. Dexter sat at the table sipping his beer when finally Johnny emerged down the hallway. Looking into his friend's eyes, Dexter knew it was time to go. Excuse me, ma'am, he called to the waitress. She looked up through the layers of smoke with a curious look. Can I get our check, please? Dexter requested. That was quick. Does your friend have a hot date? She inquired sarcastically, watching Johnny head out the door. Our handler is waiting, Dexter responded. You boys better get going then, she told him. He paid their tab, leaving the smoky air to meet Johnny outside. What did you do? Dexter questioned as they made their way towards the campsite. I got us a ticket out on the ferry tomorrow, Johnny boasted. Did you kill him? Dexter speculated. I didn't have to. Dude passed out drunk before I could do anything. It was like taking candy from a baby, Johnny laughed, high-fiving Dexter. All right, Chin.
I'm here.
Done with chapter 1.
I found Dexter.
Yep. So he's getting a ride. They use kind of a cool way to find the highway. Dex is already kind of frustrated with Johnny because he was supposed to be scouting the whole way, you know. I don't know. I wrote Johnny as kind of a slacker in the beginning. I don't know why I did that to him, but.
He's kind of, He's kind of focused on what he wants to do, where he wants to go, though.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he's worried about Pops, which
Getting
is
the dad, yeah.
yeah, totally understandable.
You can see the drama unfolding between he and Dex.
Right. On where it goes.
Yeah.
And you know, I let my son, I just got an extra book. He likes to read the actual physical book. Even though he can like
Wow.
read my manuscripts. I know.
There's a reversal.
Yeah,
I was just
exactly.
telling you that I like the digital copies and your son.
Right? Yeah. He'll wait for me to have it done and have a real book to give him.
Good for him.
I know. So he's finally reading it, and he was reading chapter 1, and he's like, no, what? How can he? And then, like, I start telling him, you know, Dexter's character is, like, horrified by what's going on. He's like, yes, Dexter would be horrified by what's going on. So, yeah, it's funny. Funny
the
stuff.
part where he hits his head on the sleeping bag, he's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is horrific. What the hell is going on in our world? Exactly. But, you know, and a lot of people were like, why did you turn to, like, the human trafficking and stuff so much? And
it's a real thing.
Right?
Like right now, it's a real thing.
Exactly. Right now, it's a real thing. And, like, you can look at what's happened in history, you know, what we've done to each other. And, like, so you think if things were bad that we wouldn't turn back there, you know.
History repeats itself.
Yeah. Phil Rabelais, he's like, you know what? It doesn't matter if you know history or not. There's no, like, avoiding history repeating itself, that it's going to happen again. We're not, like, smart enough to actually avoid it just through educating ourselves. I'm like, yeah, that's probably a pretty good point, actually. I like that guy. He's funny.
Phil, yeah.
Yeah, he's cool.
They have a good show.
Yep, he's cool beans. I
was supposed to meet them in person at prepper camp last year, but between bad cell reception, we just never, and not knowing what each other looks like.
Oh, no.
Never hook up. So I think we'll have it better planned out this time.
Rendezvous point. Point.
Hey, there's something. There's something to talk about.
Speaking of, so today we're talking about different bug out routes. And so a car is always an option, right? That's going to be your first option. I would not just leave my home on foot just because, unless I really, really had to.
Plan A.
Exactly. Plan A is a vehicle of some type. So I've been even thinking about, like, gasoline. And when you're carrying that much gasoline with you, you can't store that inside your vehicle. You have to be able to, like, tie that to the outside of your vehicle.
Yeah. I've actually been thinking about putting an auxiliary tank in my truck.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
you're right. Like I was thinking jerry cans and stuff. You're going to have that on the outside? You're just a big bulletin
target
board. Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody could just literally shoot that on your vehicle too. Yeah. I mean,
I at one of these lectures I went to at I think it was prepper camp. They the guy was doing like a get home class. And it was prepper. And he was saying he didn't want to carry gas cans on the top of, he was away from home, there was a gas shortage and he had to get home. He didn't want to put gas cans on the top of his truck, so he put gas cans in like a box, like a paper towel box or something, and then put that on top of his truck. So
there you go.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you'd have to have some kind of camouflage for those things. Because that, like you say, not only would people want your supply, but, man, they could just shoot it and it'd be like Hollywood, right? Boom. Yeah. From my understanding, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't blow up,
Yeah, it doesn't blow up like that. But, yeah. But still, I mean, it'd be gone in a heartbeat if you didn't give it up.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I was thinking, too, is like if you bug out in your vehicle, you can fit a whole lot more in your vehicle than you can fit on your back. So you're going to have
further, faster.
Right. So you're going to have that staged out, though, because if you had to leave your vehicle quickly, you don't want to be like packing up stuff and sorting out what you're going to take and what you're not. And
you have to have your bags ready for the ditch bag. If I can have a couple minutes, another bag.
Yeah. And ammo is freaking heavy. Like, seriously.
I heard somebody likes the 22 because of that.
Oh, I love the 22
Yeah.
because of that. I could carry tons on the 22. But man, like my shotgun shells, you pack a lot of those things up, they get heavy.
Yeah.
Quick. Like, oh, dude. So I don't know. Everybody really needs to think about that one because that stuff is probably like your heaviest thing you're going to be carrying is ammo.
And
Maybe
it's always a give
water?
and take. Yeah. Are you gonna? What supplies do you need? What do you need beside ammo?
Right?
You can't. That's ammo's not gonna keep you dry.
Right. Exactly. And like today, I can't. Well, I don't want to take my shotgun outside today for various things I use it for out there because it's raining out. Right. So like if you're just hiking around with your rifle on your back or your, guns on your back, you got to make sure those things stay dry as best you can, or you're going to be cleaning the hell out of them really quick all the time, which you should be doing anyway, but still, rain would not be wonderful on them.
No.
The other thing that we had was like when the Oroville Dam was going to fail, so many people clogged the roadways instantly, right? So you got to be thinking like small back roads, like the ways people don't generally know to move through areas.
And study them for
Yes.
Resupply, like gas stations, because they're not as frequent on a back road as they are on the major roads.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. So definitely that's like research to be done. That's just Google. That's just, you can do a lot of that all off of Google Maps and stuff.
And I wonder on back roads, you always read about all you crazy authors are writing into like the towns just block the roads for people going through, like no through traffic. So how accessible are they going to be?
Yeah. If it is like a big disaster.
Yeah.
So if it's like a sudden disaster, like if it was, the dam fail or a localized kind of disaster.
You're probably good.
You're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People aren't going to go instant AWOL on you. But it wouldn't be long after if it was like a big time national disaster where it hit everybody.
Or large regional. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Because people will think supplies, like they'll start thinking supplies pretty much immediately. And those small towns, you can pretty much guarantee they're not going to get supplies anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So they're going to turn taking it from other people quicker.
And they're not going to want to share what they have.
Exactly.
They're going to see us as outsiders as a threat.
Big time. Because they only have so much.
Yes.
As opposed to like, but LA is the worst. They're on a single day food supply. SAC, and that is like a 3-day, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean the cities they're gonna run out quick too. So railways is something I really wanted to talk about because it's a really neat avenue for travel. And I found a cool website at www.acwr.com, and they have like maps of all the railways right now. So that was a pretty cool website to find. And the big issue that I see with railways is a lot of preppers know about them now. And, here I am talking about it on the air, trying to inform everybody about it.
Shame on you, Sarah.
Right, I know. I'm not staying on the down low. I'm trying to help people. Darn it. Why am I so kind? Oh, so empathetic, as my martial arts instructor would say. Actually, he's not. He's like, you don't have any empathy. So that's definitely a way to go. The other thing is the homeless people know them very well already. They're already well used by the homeless people. So, you're entering their world when you start traveling there, right?
Yeah, and the other, you're fairly exposed when you're out on the track. You wouldn't want to travel on the tracks.
Right.
Use the track as a reference point and skirt them.
Which would take longer. It always takes longer to skirt. But, it just depends because that's an easy place to lay ambush. Like when we're playing airsoft and we do a trail walk exercise, it's so easy to just hang out on the sides, hidden somewhere. People come walking along. Oh, yeah, dink.
Pick a good trestle or a tunnel and done.
Yep. So definitely kind of dangerous areas.
You also, in one of those articles you sent me, they mentioned railroads always go to a city, right? Because I mean that's what
Yes.
they're used for, is to transport goods and services between cities. So
Yes.
you got to be careful of that too. Planning your route if you're going to use it, where you got to jump off to move
Exactly.
around
I
the
was
state.
looking at that because we could take like the railway, in through Nevada, through the mountains there across if we were like heading to Texas, say. But then we'd be going out towards Denver, right? So we don't want to
Yeah.
go into the Denver metropolis. We'd have to drop south well before that.
Yep.
So that comes into all your planning along the way. And we'll get a little bit more into that. I want to mention the ones that are out of use, the railroads that are out of use.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got this idea from you last time we were talking. And because you call them what? What do you call them?
Greenways or green spaces. They're called greenways here.
Right. And it's just like areas where there used to be a track, right? But now they turn them into running trails or something like that for people. So those are really good to know about as well, because a lot of times they still hook into the major lines and less people know about that. So I found a link that I'll give everybody on the blog, but it's loc.gov, and it had a lot of those ones that were out of use or maps from the past that you can use to see kind of where they are. And then geekprepper.com, I'll have that link too. He said, just use Google and look at look at the topo map, and then look at the regular map, look at the topo map, look at the regular map, and you can kind of see where they are that way.
Yeah, that Geek Prepper was the article that mentioned. Now remember, they go to cities, so
yeah. So be careful, think about it beforehand. And that's, just in planning beforehand. Mm-hmm. Let's see, what else? mytopomaps.com. mytopo.com. It's a great site that I use for when I'm writing books. To get
you can print those out, can't you?
Technically, so you're supposed to order them. And they send them laminated with with your compass guide and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool. So I would order a couple for where you're going. When I do my research for my book, I just screenshot them and then use them because I can write all over them then and make the world how I want it to be. That's the joy of being a fictional author. But I like that site. So I wanted to mention it because that's something I've used for a long time. James Hart actually introduced me to MyTopo back in the day. USGS also has really, really good trail maps. I found them at viewer.nationalmap.gov and really detailed hiking maps. So the closer you go in, it just gives you all the hiking trails in the area and points of interest and stuff like that. Really great maps. I think their hiking maps at the USGS are way more advanced than at MyTopo Maps.
Nice. And that's crucial to have those as part of your pack for your bug out, because road maps aren't going to show all the topo maps show you terrain and a lot of waypoints and
water.
It's a lot better for walking and biking and that kind of planning.
Right, exactly. I've seen a lot of really cool carts too for carrying gear. That's almost like a backwards dolly.
Did I tell you when we went camping on one of the Barrier Islands for a week, and I used it. I went on Craigslist and bought a golf bag cart.
Oh yeah.
And used that to pack all my stuff. Worked well. Yeah. So anybody want to go to consignment shop or Craigslist or something and get one of those golf bag carts?
You can probably find them pretty darn cheap.
Get them cheap, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, cool idea just to be able to carry more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have the big wheels. They're made to, roll around on the ground and stuff. They're not made for streets, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. And then you can kind of trick it out, too, to how you want it to be to carry, your specific gear and stuff.
Little sling for your shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Scarab or whatever.
Without question. My Mossy comes with me. Oh, it's my friend. Yeah, so those maps are great. Those USGS maps are absolutely priceless. And again, you can, I believe you can order those from the USGS, but you can look at them really good. So the other thing that I picked up, and I actually picked this up in the comment section of that Geek Prepper article, was the Delorme Atlas and Gazetteer. And you said you use those. You have them.
I bought one for my state and a couple surrounding states that I just keep in my luggage. I keep it in my luggage.
Right.
So whenever we're traveling, if something bad happens, I've got it, and I guess I should plan a little better. And every time I go someplace, I plan to get home. But
right. But at least you have something to fall back on.
I'm not there yet.
You're not that psychotic yet?
Yeah. But, if I need to figure out how to do something, I thought it's a easy insurance policy to throw some of those in your bag.
Absolutely. So one of the comments that I read was that they're kind of large. They're not too easy to carry. So is that true?
They are. Yeah, they're like a road atlas. I don't know.
Like the big old school ones?
Anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're that size.
Okay. So it's like what, 11 and a half by 18 or something like that? Almost like the legal paper.
Yeah. So they're not, but they're usually state by state. You can buy them by state.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it was cheap. It was not, the one I was looking at for California was like $11.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
So you buy a couple different states and then you just, whatever one you need, you can just bring that state.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was a killer idea. The only turnoff was I was like, well, they're big. But if they weren't big and you had to look at like some tiny little pocketbook.
They wouldn't have the resources that you need on them.
Exactly. Yeah, it was saying they have like the back roads on it, backwater lakes and streams, boat ramps. Forests, wetlands, trailheads, campgrounds, public lands, prime hunting and fishing, which is, I'd pick it up just for that right now. Yeah. And then the countless landmarks. So, at least.
Which will help in navigation because if you pick a point, walk to it, pick another point, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's all in the planning too. We go into a little bit of that, but that is so important to know, like, how far can you walk? So how far can you actually walk? How far can you actually walk with gear on you?
How far can the weakest person in your group walk?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. So you're going to have to know, like, is there a place to camp along the way? Where are we going? So let's get into a little bit of that. I found that article over at graywolfsurvival.com, and it's how to plan your bug out route. We both really like this one.
Yeah. I highlighted and scribbled all over that one.
Yeah, that one I really, really enjoyed. So you guys got to go check that out. So he talks about doing a basic assessment of your route. So this is the planning. And, where are you starting from? And that's a good point. Like, I was like, of course you're starting from home. And then I'm like, well, are you?
No.
Yeah. Are you? So.
Where do I spend most of my waking hours? Not at home.
Work.
Yep.
Oh, me too now. Maybe not for long. No, I'm kidding.
Welcome to the working world.
Yeah. So, or you could even like be at the grocery store.
Yep.
Or, I could be at martial arts, which would actually be really cool. I should just be like, everybody come here because you don't want to mess with that crew. No, so there's lots of different places where people are. Where's your kids? Are they at school, or you have a younger one that's maybe at a daycare facility, that kind of thing? They're not going to be able to get to your rally point. You got to get to them,
Yep.
So really important stuff. So that kind of leads into number 2. He talks about who are you taking? So who are you taking?
I better take my wife or I'll be in big trouble.
You better. She's might be using her own shotgun then.
No kidding. She's a better shot. She's a much better shot. Yeah. And planning for that, older people in your family, younger people in your family.
Yep. Yeah, my mom's always like, oh, just leave me here. Like, I wouldn't go. I'm like, bull crud, dude. I don't care if I had to carry you out. You'd be coming with me. You know? But yeah, older people, younger people are going to be a serious consideration. They're not going to be able to go as far.
Yeah.
Well,
the real young will be okay because you can carry them.
Yeah, when they're real little. But you have to carry their supplies too.
Yeah. So
it makes it a challenge because not only are you carrying the kid, but you're carrying their supplies, you're carrying your supplies, your partner has to carry their supplies. So it was actually kind of challenging for us to figure that out. And what we figured out was we'd have to have 2 packs, you know, like the kid on the front, your pack on the back, then your spouse with the pack on the front and, you know, their pack on the back.
And that makes movement challenging and self-defense challenging too.
Yeah, like try creeping along the edge of the railroad line with that gear on.
Yep.
So that's where that cart, having some kind of a cart idea really would come into play. You could drop that thing and, you know, go fan out from there, take care of what you need to do, and then come back to it. Okay, so we talked a lot about transportation already. Oh, you know what we forgot in talking about transportation was the canals and
waterways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is what it was in my book. So waterways, typically, if it's like a flowing river, it will go to people. It will go to a town. So this is good for wilderness survival. If you are stuck out in the woods and you can find a waterway, that will generally lead you to people of some type. So it's really good idea to know about that. However, you might not want to go to people if it is like a collapse situation. So realize that if you're following a waterway, it will probably go to people.
Yeah.
The other thing is canals were used so much in the past for transporting supplies and stuff. A lot of them in the Midwest have trails next to them.
Yeah, it was the same in the Northeast.
Right? Yeah.
They had a lot of canals that were kind of closed, that made into green spaces.
Along the edge? Yeah.
Well, actually, some of the canals were closed. Were dry.
Oh, okay.
Made in, like the railroads we were talking about. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So they basically shut down the canal because they don't need to take goods down there anymore.
Correct.
And they turned them into these greenways. Well, that's cool. And that's a great route to know about. So when you're planning, really think about those types of areas. Try to really think outside the box because other people, everybody's going to be, you know, trying to find those routes too. So if you already know about them.
If you can use the waterway to your advantage, you'll be able to travel. I've read some articles where you can travel faster with more equipment. If you're with a boat or inflatable boat or anything. Right. One thing that has always made me nervous about waterways is you're so exposed out there.
So exposed.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
you need like a clamshell boat or something, you know, like the Koreans used to use, like the covered.
Maybe get one of those surplus boats off the military.
Right? Well, I mean, look at it. You're out in the water. If somebody just puts one hole in your boat,
yep.
You know, you're
it's
done.
Not like you could duck behind it. You got no cover.
Yeah. And if it's just like aluminum, I mean, you're done.
Yeah. So
you can put BBs through that.
It's interesting, but it always made me nervous because there's no place.
Yeah.
No place to go.
Right. You're just out there. And then if you pass like another boater or, you know, you're super exposed. It scares me too. I wouldn't go for it. But it depends on where you're at, you know.
Yeah. Down here, I'm going to have to deal with water. There's so much. I mean, the Charleston, the Low Country region is so. There's like 3 rivers right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of rivers, but you wouldn't be taking an aluminum boat down the American River. You need like a rubber, like the rafting boats.
Whitewater, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it's the same kind of thing. Unless you're in like Sacramento where it finally slows down. And if you're down there on a boat, you're screwed. I mean, there are so many homeless people that already live all along that river and everything. You're in their zone. So you better look the part. So then he talks about what do you need as far as gear goes. So that's a long conversation. Everybody should have their bug out bag ready. If you don't at this point, I'm going to virtually smack you via the speaker because you should have something at least ready, something, you know.
And that's an ongoing process.
It is. It's never ending.
Your bag ready, and then your life circumstances changes. You got to alter it. Seasons change. You have to alter it.
Or you like steal some stuff out of there because you're like, oh, I have my headlamp in there or whatever, you know, and then it's not complete anymore.
Yep.
I find myself doing that. One item that I really loved, and this, me and my husband got this after we attempted our first backpacking trip, which was utterly failure. And I don't know if I've ever told the story on air, but that's for another day. But it was an epic failure. And basically because our tent was too big. And I know you don't have to have a tent. You could do a tarp and whatnot. We were out in the mountains. It was still pretty cold. So we were attempting to take our tent. It was horrible. So I've invested in, it's like a 2-person bivvy. It weighs a pound. And so nice and toasty warm and awesome. And both of our air mattresses fit in there. We have like the 1-person air mattress. Totally worth the investment. So check that out on Amazon. I think it was like $100 and it seriously weighs a pound. You can just strap it to your bag.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like if the wife and I have to bug out, like a 1-person tent or something would be, because we both would not want to sleep at the same time.
Fair enough.
You're gonna have to like that, what's they called, the hot cot or whatever. One person sleeps while the other person stands guard, and then switch out.
That's the downside of a small group.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why you have to have other people.
Yeah.
You know, whether you are nervous about it or not, eventually you have to accept other people into your plans. Because you just can't do it with 2 people. You're just going to be on the run the whole time, basically. So even 4 is, you know, well, I'm going to have my 7-year-old out guarding, you know. I don't even want my 18-year-old, you know. It's something to think about.
Yep.
Okay, so then he talks about really be familiar with the area. So no, we're going to start here and we can walk this far and then we're going to camp here.
Right. It's not just how far you can walk in a day, but what's a good stopping point.
Yeah. Yeah, like where is it appropriate? If you've ever traveled across the country, like if you've ever driven across the country, you know you could keep driving forever. But sometimes it's advantageous to stop and rest, even if it's just resting in your car. So, you know, there's great spots to do that at like the Love, stuff like that, or you're getting a hotel room. So it's same thing when you're on foot is where do you figure you can make it to? Where do you want to stay?
We're safe.
Yeah, where you can be defensible. Exactly. So the other thing he talked about was having rally spots. So like if you were already out of your home and more members of your group have to meet up somewhere to have those rally points, which is really, really important.
I mean, that's almost good for anything right now nowadays, just to have where's your rally point if your house catches on fire?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We're just keeping our fingers crossed that never happens.
I didn't mean your house.
Well, we think about that pretty darn heavily out here. So, yeah, actually, we just had a stroke of luck because our house wasn't, our insurance canceled us again. And because they're canceling everybody out here. But State Farm wrote our house. So thank you, State Farm. You guys are awesome. Yeah. Saved about $8,000 a year.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. And that's for real. Like that's how much people are having to pay out here for insurance because of all the wildfires.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So he also talks about knowing your friendly and unfriendly areas. So we talked about that. That's, you know, realizing where your big cities are. Know that other people are going to be looking for water too. So water is dangerous, but you also need it.
You can also pick like chemical plants and stuff like that you wouldn't want to travel near. That could be
Fair
bad,
enough. Yeah.
If you have a choice,
Yeah,
I'd rather
stay
not.
clear. Nuclear.
Yep.
Probably not a good
If I had
idea.
a choice, yeah.
Uh-huh. He talked about choke points, where like people could get you, like we talked about on the railroads, where they're going to kind of bottleneck you up. So those are kind of all, and then where you can resupply, which if you can resupply, everybody else can too. So know what to forage, I would think.
Yeah. That's a skill.
Yes. I love that skill though. It makes it like, even when you're driving down the road, you're like, oh, that I can eat. Miner's lettuce, that I can eat. That I can do.
McDonald's, Burger King,
water there. Yep. It's true. So, and then you just make survival stews. It's really kind of sucky eating. I'm not gonna lie, but it puts food in your belly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just you need food in your belly.
Yeah, you don't function properly if you get too hungry.
Yeah.
Really, you can't think straight.
Everything. Yeah, your senses are off. Now you've got a firearm in your hand with your senses off, and
Yep.
Oh, is that food over there? No, it's my cake coming back. Oh, yeah. Right? So to know what you can eat is essential. So he talks about knowing your different routes and prioritizing them. So having a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, right?
That's funny. I put in my notes for today, plan A, B, C, ... D.
Yep. Yeah. And it's just
you never know when something's going to get in your way.
Yeah, and then you got to think about like, okay, so we left in the vehicle. Say we only make it to point X, and then we have to go on foot. So from point X, which way would we be going? So it could be, you could spend literally hours and hours and hours on this stage right here.
Yeah.
Because
what if the bridge is out?
Right. What if the dam goes? So what do you do then? And a lot of that exists in the Midwest too. A lot of people live below dams. So document. And he talks about having it on a map, like having your routes drawn on a map and then having it on a list, physically written out, and you should be able to use one without the other.
It reminds me of the old AAA triptychs. Did you ever use those? So back in the day, before all these like Garmin's and stuff, you get a AAA, it would have like an overall map, a little packet, an overall map, and then it would have sections of your trip.
Okay.
Yeah, just like what he talked about.
Yeah, like the little breakdown.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then once you got to the end of that section, you flip the page and you on to the next section.
That's cool. Yeah, and that's exactly what you need. And then you need to have like, well, if we only drove the vehicle to here, and then we went on foot, and then we went on, right? How would we do that? So, and that'd be hard to take your cart too in your car, right? Your gear cart.
Well, yeah. Are you a prepper 1.0, 2.0, 5.0?
Fair enough.
How much stuff are you going to carry I don't know. But the one that I got folds up. So,
that's true.
Because I had to take it on a boat to get to the island. It was only accessible by boat. There was no cars. So my whole thing was set up with, I had 2 backpacks, some 5-gallon buckets, and because I kept everything in that. And then I strapped stuff onto the cart. So I had to be able to get onto a boat and off a boat.
With it.
Yeah, and then carry it out to the campsite.
So it did load up pretty small.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But even what are you...
Right? Yeah.
How much stuff are you going to pack to go to grandma's house?
Just use the tools. That's what I always say. Use the tools, use your knowledge, and learn how to do it with less. Because less is more in the long run.
I mean, everybody wants to jump in and max out their credit card on all the cool
Gear.
James Bond
Yeah.
prepper stuff, but it might be better to learn the skills first.
Yeah, absolutely. That is without a doubt. Alrighty, let's get back on track. Squirrel. So, run the routes. Run the routes. Know your routes. Go camping, go hiking. Know where you're going, right? Ahead of time.
I liked what he said in the article. He talked about give somebody else the route to see if they could follow it and give you input. So like if you had a group, hand another person in your group the route pack and let them try to follow it.
That's an awesome idea.
Without any instruction from you, just to see how good your instructions are.
And they might end up totally freaking lost.
Well, it's better to get lost on a good day.
Fair enough.
Get lost
and when you're like still connected to it, make sure you have like that.
But I thought that was a good,
no, that's an excellent idea.
Or even give it to your spouse and say,
yeah, have somebody run it too. Like give one person your map, give one person your list, and see if they can use both of those to get in.
It's like sending your book to the editor, right?
Absolutely, it is. That's something you can't scrimp on too. I mean, it's absolutely important to know.
I thought that was a great idea.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And just running the routes. I mean, so my buddy, he goes out shooting up in the mountains and stuff, takes his quad up there. He's been through this area a ton, right? He was walking through some higher brush. I don't know why he was doing it, but he got bit by a rattlesnake.
Ugh.
Yeah. It was a dry bite. Only one fang went in, but still, like, those are the game changers when you're, in a survival moment. And if it wasn't a dry bite and you're in a survival situation, you are screwed.
Right. Because, like, what do you do for what's the treatment for it?
They take them to the hospital.
Yes.
And they watch you, basically, just to make sure, just to see what's going to happen, right? And then they have anti-venom for it, and then they have different ways. But I've seen a guy who was bit in the hand, and it blew up like a black softball, his hand.
Ugh.
It was horrible because it just starts destroying the flesh. So this was on the back of the leg, right above his knee. So imagine if the back of your knee just
above his knee.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, the snake struck that high.
Because I've been looking at snake boots, but that's not going to be high enough.
Right, exactly. Because he was going through the brush. The snake must have been up in the bramble instead of on the ground. Yeah, so those, knowing your route, what's along your route, what kind of threats, what advantages, what kind of things, that's important. And like I say, he's out there all the time. So he's familiar with that area. It's just the snakes are on the move right now. 'Tis the season, So you have to go on a super high alert.
I heard somebody say using walking sticks helps with that.
Yes. So walking sticks, because you're making more vibration, right? You can also kind of beat the brush before you enter it.
So they might straight the stick instead of you.
Yes. So I always carry, it's a broomstick, right? And I
So how you get around?
Yep. Yeah. So
well, Chin used to be on the podcast, but he was just fired.
He's fired. He's out of here. No more of that. No. So I shaved out the middle and wrapped like 200 feet of paracord on my stick. And then depending on what I'm doing, like you can hang bells off of it because you want to make noise. There's times when you want to make noise. You don't want to come up on a bear when he doesn't know you're coming. You don't want to come up on a rattlesnake when he doesn't know you're coming, right?
You have snake bells?
Yeah. So basically, the more vibration and noise you can make as you go along, the more they'll get out of your way. So I used to do like collect film for rafting photos, and you had to go down all these little trails to get down to the river to pick up the film to come back up, right? Yeah. So they're like, shuffle your feet, kind of sing as you go, right? For the rattlesnakes. So they're fun.
Go send Sarah. She'll go get it.
Right? No, I'm good. It was kind of freaky. But that's why it's important. There's going to be different things in different areas as far as it goes. I don't know what kind of poisonous things you have there.
Yeah, we have rattlesnakes and copperheads.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. We had a copperhead in the building where I worked. That was crazy.
That is crazy. He just came on in?
Yeah, come on in.
He's hanging out?
So
maybe it was
that always makes you
temperature.
feel good.
Yeah, fair enough. So make it into a document, make it durable, easy to carry, laminate that thing, and then make copies for the group. So 2 is 1, 1 is none, always have extra. But don't let your enemies get a hold of it.
Yeah, OPSEC. I was just thinking
yeah.
You might want to not put your final destination on that.
Right, yeah. There's also different ways of putting a grid onto your map, and then you can do your own cross gridding on it so that only you know what that system is and only your group knows what that system is. And then when you're doing your write out, you can do reference to those points that only your group can figure out. It's a lot more labor intensive, but it's going to keep you a lot safer in the long run.
And you could change it too.
Yeah.
You could change your coding system.
Right.
You had to, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you can have, if you have a rally point, you could leave a coded marker there. Anybody who's in your group is going to be able to know what that indicates, but nobody else would. So you would be able to instruct people, hey, we're going on to Route C. And nobody else would know what the heck that meant, but everybody in your group would.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I have a blog article about the grid system and how to do that on my website.
Nice.
Yeah, this guy I used to train survival with taught me about that one to keep the routes hidden. So you can basically just make an overlay for your map that only you have, like a little code.
Communications. The Grey Wolf had talked about communications.
Oh,
too.
right.
A plan for communications would be important for getting to rally points, for what to do. Like, if there's bad people in the road and you got to split up, how do you talk to each other?
So he's like all into the ham, which would be awesome. I think I'm going to go with the lower one, though, and start there. Golly, I can't remember. Dale told me.
There's like GMRS. And
the
MERS
GMRS.
And,
yeah. Just start there. Cause
that one, I think, is it $10? I don't know.
For the license?
Family? Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheap and it's the whole family.
Yeah. So it does, as long as one of you have it.
And we thought it'd be cool because we can use it playing airsoft too.
Yeah.
To be able to comm to each other.
And it's good to practice. We use it a group of us went to a Mother's Earth conference.
Yeah.
But so I did a lot of like farming and stuff. And the cell phone was spotty, but we all had our little walkie-talkies, so we could all
communicate there and be like, hey, I'm over here.
You just turn your comms on and be able to talk. It works great. I mean, it could be at the fair, at the
Do you have the little earpiece too, or just the walkie-talkie, or do you have the little earpiece that hooks?
Yeah. I look like FBI running around.
Nice. Yeah, see, that's what we want for airsoft.
It's good for you're not giving off sound, so if you're trying to be stealth, and then if you're in a crowd, you can hear better, and
true.
You're not like annoying other people like in like everyday life.
Oh yeah.
But those walkie-talkies are great. We use them all the time now.
Yeah.
Because cell phone isn't a given. Like I said, this was outside Asheville, and there was spotty reception.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that. I mean, it's all nice and flat. So I always kind of slack on the communications area. So thank you for making me.
Yeah. Because you want, like, what if you got to the rally point and
they're not there?
Wasn't there yet? At least you could know.
Yeah.
Where he is, you can, if he gets in range of your radio, you guys can be talking and
So the thing that scares me too about the radios though is like other people can listen to you as well.
So you have to have a comms plan. When do you talk? How long do you talk? Yep.
Yeah, comms plan. And that's where you're coding. A
whole nother show right there.
Yeah, it is. It's not a bad one too. Maybe we'll do that on one of the ones we don't have earmarked yet this season. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is, if you had that, that lattice system that I was talking about mapped out, you can talk all you want and nobody's going to be able to know what you're referring to because only your group has that coded message. Well,
they can triangulate you. They can. Yeah. You also have to. You don't want to talk too often or too long because they can find you. Yeah. If you really want to put on a tinfoil hat, they can track you down. And there's so in the ham community, we have competitions. It's called the Fox Hunt. And they like hide beacons, and then you use your radios to find it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that it's a whole sport. So, but the sport could be used for good or bad.
That is really cool. Kind of. Kind of not.
There, I just spooked you out now, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like watching drone footage.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather pretend that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
No, that's good to know, though. And that's what freaks me out about it, honestly. Maybe that's why I kind of do a mental block on it, because I'm like, it's a vulnerability.
I think it's a crucial tool, though. But you want to use it properly. Like, you don't want to just be on it, just talking as you walk the whole time. No.
Hey, what's going on? We're now climbing over the river.
Out of the whatever, right?
Yeah, that's true. So, alrighty. Well, I think that about does it for today. We got to take a minute and thank our supporters out there for showing support.
Supporters.
Yes, supporters, because all that stuff costs money. I got to, the hosting and all that stuff. But I got us hooked up with so many new channels. It's out on iHeartRadio, nice. Stitcher, Slacker, man, pretty much
Stitcher,
you name
that's
it.
How I get it.
Yeah, me too. And pretty much you name it, we should be there about right now because I just went through and upgraded all of that to make it so that we're out everywhere you can imagine. iTunes, everywhere podcasts are done, basically. So really cool stuff. And, the supporters make it happen. So thanks, guys. And then also we got to send a shout out to the listeners because why would we be here without them?
I like talking with you.
Yep. Fair enough. We're going to do some before the show clips. We're going to start recording some of that. So
you got to pay extra for that.
Yeah, you got to pay extra for that. You got to be a subscriber. You got to be a supporter. But some of our conversations pre-show are quite interesting. So we're going to start putting some
at least
of
they are to us.
Yeah. So we're going to put some of that up for you guys. And so you get a chuckle and you can laugh at us a little bit. Our tinfoil hats. Oh man, they had a tinfoil house, like the roof was all tinfoil. They're like, for those really bad, or for the mega conspiracists, right? It's Dale and Lisa's house.
I know. I was just gonna say I can't help. Every time I see a tinfoil, there's always a comment about Lisa.
Yep, right. I love it.
Yeah, the good people.
So yes. For sure. I haven't gotten together with them for a while. It would be fun to have a show with all four of us, too. So we'll have to try and get them hooked up here before too long. They're weekend recorders as well, so we can definitely make that happen. All righty. Well, I think that about does it. So until...
Thank you for joining Sara and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there. Then head over to iTunes or Amazon and let everyone know by leaving a review.